has a flat, I can't get to the mountains or whatever. And so I was gracious, and that's okay, that's fine, another time, right? Then somebody else called and canceled, right? And it was like, okay, whatever. Then somebody else called and canceled. It just like there was cancellation after cancellation. Towards the end in my mind, I'm thinking, is your kid really sick? Is your kid? Put that kid on the phone. I need you at my workshop. I want proof. Right? Wasn't the most enlightened state of mind, right, to be doing a workshop from. But you know how you get insecure and you get frustrated and whatever. So I was just feeling really, really bad. And thank God, before I led the hike for the very few people who actually were still left, I decided I would meditate. I decided I better get my own mind in check, because I'm still disappointed and frustrated, and see, I'm never going to make it, nothing's ever going to work out for me, and poor me, all of those stories. And when I meditated, I got the guidance. Keep your heart open. Keep your heart open. Do not close your heart right now. Open your heart to those people who are showing up. Open your heart to those people who are showing up. And so I got to the hike, the site where we were doing it, and there were only 3 people that were going to be doing it with me. And they ended up being 3 women, and they were all wearing purple t-shirts. And I was wearing a purple t-shirt. And so it was like, wow, we all got the memo. Like something else is going on. So I really tried to keep my heart open. And because it was a very intimate group, it was a very small group, there was one woman there who had a need to grieve that she'd been feeling for probably a year or more. But because we were a small group and it was this safe space, it came up for her. And she just grieved. And we set this space for her. And she just wailed. And it was beautiful. It was the most sacred experience, like just magic. We were complete strangers, right? But we all intuitively just gathered around her and held that space that she could do what she needed to do. And we all felt like something magical had happened, because it happened. Something out of this world had happened. And I remember thinking at the time, thank God I kept my heart open. Thank God I'd been present to allow that to happen. And it wasn't in my head, and it wasn't in frustration, and it wasn't available, and was just thinking about myself. I just kept my heart open to whatever was going to happen. And I have to tell you, I ended up feeling more secure after that hike about my life and about my career than if I'd gotten all the checks in the mail. I wouldn't have minded the checks in the mail, but for me, it was just this feeling like, wow, there really is this plan. There's something that wants to happen if I get out of the way. If when my plan doesn't work, I don't just stop and I stay focused. And it was incredible, and it's one of the things I still hold dear that helps me feel secure in this life, because when you have that presence, when that feeling that something else is going on, it's pretty magical, right? So that's my first principle for you, is keeping your heart open, right? Even when things don't go the way you want. For some of us, that's going to be some deeper work. That's going to be forgiveness, right? That's going to be, maybe there's something in your past you need to let go of or forgive or see differently. It is worth every amount of work you can. So I will sell you the second principle, and this is the one we're going to hang out a lot in and talk about, and I love to hear what's on your mind, as always. So the second principle, it's a concept from A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles, again, is a spiritual study of living in love instead of fear. It's one study of many that is all about living in love instead of fear. And one of its principles is that I give everything all the meaning it has for me. I give everything all the meaning it has for me. And what that means is I'm not necessarily reacting to what's going on in life. I'm not necessarily reacting to a circumstance or to a person. I'm reacting to what I make it mean, to what my ideas are, what I make it mean. Does that make sense? Is that, yes? Okay, all right. So I'll give you an example. It's one of my favorite examples because it's a personal one that made all the difference in my life. It's when I met my partner Paul, and who's not here with me, but Paul is a very quiet man. He's just really quiet, right? You can see the yin-yang of this. You can see that he would probably have to be. But anyways, we met at a spiritual conference. We met at a spiritual conference, and maybe some of the women will relate, I don't know, but like I'd gone to the spiritual conference and I thought, oh, a guy at a spiritual conference, a single man, wow. It was just like, so that was the first thing. So when I met him, we decided to take a walk together. We were at the conference and we were taking classes or whatever, and we decided to take a walk together. And so we're walking along, and I'm starting to share with him, and I'm babbling away and whatever, and he's being really quiet. And my first thought was, oh, this is good. He's a good listener. This could work. This is like, wow, this could work. He's a good listener, So at first I'm thinking, this is great. So I'm babbling and yakking away, and he's being quiet. And you know this story. You know how you're going along and then fear comes in? Like you have one little fear thought. And actually, Course in Miracles says that one fear thought is a detour into hell. It's a detour into hell. It's like you get one fearful thought, and then they all start coming. So anyway, he's being quiet, I'm yakking away, right? And all of a sudden I have the thought, maybe he's quiet because he's bored. Maybe he's quiet because he's bored. Maybe I'm boring him into a stupor. Maybe he's secretly planning his exit plan in his mind, like, how do I get away from this woman, right? So like I'm starting to have all these thoughts, right? And so I'm starting to get like upset, and really upset. How dare he think that of me? How dare he do that? And then I'm having this thought, and then pretty soon you start having past thoughts of past fears, right? So like all the ex-relationships I've had in my life start coming up, like ex-boyfriends that said, you're so intense, so now that's coming up. He thinks I'm so intense, really? Really? Who the heck is he? So like literally, this is all going in my mind. This man has not said a word. That is all he has done. He has not said a word. So when you start feeling attacked in life, what do? You attack back. Right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't need this kind of abuse. I just don't need this. I don't need abuse like this. This is ridiculous. And then I'm starting to do that, and I'm starting to go, I could probably do better. He's not even that good looking. I mean, like, you just start attacking, right? Like, you just start criticizing because you're feeling criticized. Again, he has done nothing but be quiet. That's all he's done. I'm having this whole thing in my mind, right? Thank God, at the moment, I had the presence of mind to finally say something and ask him neutrally, because I was at a spiritual conference and I learned something. And so I slowed down and I said, I noticed that you're being kind of quiet. I noticed you're being kind of quiet. Are you okay? Or what's going on for you? Trying, And he was very lovely and very honest. And he said, well, to be honest with you, I'm nervous. I'm kind of nervous right now. You're a beautiful woman and you're really intelligent and I'm kind of nervous. And I'm like, oh. Oh my. What an astute individual. What a superior human being. This could work. That is the true story of how we met. And thank God, he's still quiet. God bless him. And, but you could see how I could have destroyed something before it even began. I could have completely completely created a story in my head or something that whatever, and destroyed something, or was not my best self because of some idea in my head. You are doing that all the time. We are all doing that all the time. Because we have our past stories that we cycle, and our past stories that we cycle, and unless we're really, really present, and we open up to something else, we don't ever see it differently, right? And so there's a technique, if you're wanting to say, I'm giving all things the meaning it has for me, and you're thinking, okay, I know that, but I don't know how to change that, right? One of the techniques that we use is that you identify the meaning you're giving it. You identify your interpretation or your perception. You take responsibility. Yes, I'm making it mean this person's rejecting me. Yes, I'm making it mean that I'm inferior right now. Yes, I'm making whatever the interpretation is. And then you ask your spirit, help me see this differently. I'm willing to see this differently. I don't know how, but I'm willing to see this differently. Because that opens the door. That opens the door to possibilities. Because you're taking responsibility for how you're seeing something, how you're experiencing it, and then you're opening the door to possibly something else. So I'm curious, as you're listening, what story tends to come up for you? Maybe there's a story you'd like to shift. If you've been in my workshops, if you've been in Sound with me, you know that I love interactive when we can. And if you feel comfortable, and again, this is such a safe space, you can ask anything. It doesn't have to be relevant to the topic. I'll make it relevant. Right? So I'll get to where we need to go. But seriously, if you want to ask anything about unleashing your calling, or what's in the way of taking a step, or knowing the next step, or maybe there's a story that gets in your way, a place where you tend to get frustrated, or a place where you get disappointed, or a story that always comes up. If you speak, I promise you are helping everybody here. So, and only if you feel guided. So, I mean, just anybody want to begin? What gets in your way? Your chance to be free. Going once, going twice. Anybody? Oh, so nobody has a story. You're not disappointed ever. I'm curious.
I'm always excited.
All right. Thank God.
Hello. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so for that one, this is just to close my sharing from the first day. So I went to the retreat for the first time in Costa Rica. That was July 6th on my birthday, my 34th birthday. So the meaning that I'm giving to it, making it happen next year. So I actually got a contract. So they gave me the $20K prize for next year, July 6th, or it's actually July 5th, 2025. I feel like I'm getting frustrated because I'm trying to make it happen.
Yes.
Because I'm already ready for my Instagram post. Oh, this is a 360 moment for me. You know what I mean? So yes. I am attached with the outcome.
Yes.
So my intention is not really to play, but I'm already have an outcome and result, oh, this is perfect Instagram post, that I went there for my 34th birthday and I'm back for my 38th birthday, oh, 360 moment, So I think that's what I'm being present, that I want to make it happen so that I can prove to myself, which is also, I don't have to, because every moment is an opportunity for me to really have the same feeling I shared with Emily. I'm calling it divine play.
Ooh, I like
every day, I probably will not be in the ashram, but I can bring the ashram at the hospital. I can bring the ashram in my house.
Yes.
I can bring the ashram at the restaurant. Just the feeling of the light that I'm taking from here, it's coming with me. So I don't have to have this huge Costa Rica moment. I can just have it.
But what will you post on Instagram now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, tomorrow, go find out. But that's it. So yeah, I have just that moment, and I'm letting it go.
Wow.
Yeah, tomorrow is full moon in Gemini, so right now I'm communicating, I'm letting go, if that doesn't happen, it will happen in divine timing. And if not, it's an opportunity for me to, like, every day have that same feeling. It doesn't have to be that big outcome.
That's beautiful. Woo! That is beautiful. Wow. And we got it recorded here. We all heard it, man. We're all holding this with you, right? I love that concept of divine play, right? Because here's the thing. Your mind can come up with a goal. Your mind can come up with an idea, but it might not be as good as you deserve. It might be limited compared to what you could really experience, to what you could really open up to, right? And so a lot of us, I think, especially in the world, we're more concerned with how life looks, what it looks like, what we can tell other people, what we can post on social media, right? What it looks like. My own healing, and because I have fallen for that so many times, I've been so concerned about what other people will think or what it looks like. But I've learned what's even more important is, what does it feel like? What does it feel like? Because you don't even know where your highest happiness would be, but you will be led to it moment by moment in that divine play. And that doesn't mean you can't have a goal or a desire. I think it's this, for me, it's really this challenge, right, of how do I open up to hearing an inner voice and a desire and a dream or a goal or anything, and how do I have that desire but also be unattached to it? How do I be, and unattached doesn't mean not committed. It doesn't mean not convicted, not staying with something. It's that balance, right, of I wanna see where this takes me, because often the universe is taking you somewhere you didn't even anticipate. And I really believe that there's so much good that's waiting for you that you can't even imagine, but you've limited it to this one little thing. And I'll just say, in my own life, I started off, like, when I first left my law career, I thought, I want to write a book, and I want to be a best-selling author, and I said last night, it took me 12 years to write that first book. That was not my plan. That was not my dream. But what I didn't realize, because I didn't know, was that I was going to be healing. I didn't even know what healing was, right? I didn't even know I needed to heal. I just had this goal. I didn't know that to achieve the goal I most wanted to live on this planet, I had to have a different identity. I had to grow into a different identity. I had to open up to a different part of myself. I didn't know that. And you know what? In the end of the day, I love that I have best-selling books. I love that. But even more, I am so grateful that I've opened up to healing and that I know how to be at peace through fluctuations, because I did not know that. Right? So I think that's part of what you might be learning. So thank you. Anybody else have an intention or a story you want to shift? Yes, please.
I'm going to tell a story.
Cool.
So last year at the season here, I took a TTC in March. I graduated April 1st and I turned 60 April 4th. And I was planning on walking across Spain. And I took a little TTC, I think, just to give myself confidence. Me and Raj did it when I was 50. But we did it together. This time I was going by myself. So my first day, my first 26-kilometer day, great walking, was enjoying my time, and then I found out that I couldn't walk downhill. Excruciating pain in my left knee, and I'm thinking, wow, this isn't going to work. And then I came across this lady from Australia, 67-year-old woman, asked me if she could walk with me. So we made it halfway, we took the cab. And then I spent about 1 or 2 weeks kind of going, okay, what's going to happen here? And I said this time when I went back, I was walking abroad. I went for a different reason, and I was experiencing everything. Well, it wasn't my Camino. After spending the entire time with this woman, I told her, since I'd already done my Camino, that I would make sure she finished her 100 kilometers, and I walked into Santiago with her. So even though my expectations was not what I was thinking when I started, I was, as she says, I was her angel at the end of the walk. And we walked in at 9 o'clock in the morning into Santiago. We did 364 kilometers together on foot.
Woo, woo. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's such a gorgeous example of the same thing, of that we don't know, right? But if you had closed your heart, right? If you had closed your heart, or if you decided you know what this means, like, well, I guess I'm not supposed to do it. I guess that's never going to work for me. Or I guess God is telling me I should never walk again because my ankle hurts today. You know, that's not what it wasn't an ankle. But again, we do that. We do that all the time. You know, I'm a coach and I work with so many people and they'll tell me, but Tama, I tried it. I tried it. And I'm like, did you try it 1,000 times? Get back to me when you've tried it. Or like you said last night, a million times, right? A million times to your practice. Because I will tell you, your calling, your destiny, your love, your self-love, your self-realization, your what you're meant to do in this lifetime, it's worth everything, right? And we're meant to heal that mental clutter. So anybody else have a story they might want to shift, or a story of something like that, or something you'd like to see differently? Yes, there's a hand there.
Hello.
Hello.
So about 2 years ago, I was kind of at like a high point in my life where I always wanted to be in a band, and it was something where I never like grew up with like musical talent or kind of like playing an instrument. But music has always been like something that like I love like myself and always wanted to do. So it was just something that I always just kept in the back of my head. And every time I met somebody who was like into music, I kind of just like tagged them along. I met these like kids that were like in my high school with me. I graduated them like friends of friends, but like no idea like who they are. And we just started like playing together. And then we started this like a punk rock band. And we were playing like these like local shows, and not really like knowing like what we were doing, but like we actually got like a pretty good fan base and like this good momentum going, and like people really into like what we were doing. But during that time, it was really hard to like figure out like what exactly we were doing and like what kind of like felt like fulfilling for each one of us. And then like over time, it felt like everyone was getting pulled into a direction where like they weren't satisfied in. And like for me, it was a big learning experience of like not always trying to just lean on other people, and then sometimes also feel like you're bringing them down. Because a big part of it was also realizing like how the individual egos and how my own ego wanted to has this whole idea of like how it should be done. And then like over time, it just like fell apart. We were supposed to play this like festival, and the festival ended up getting canceled. And like after that, like all the momentum kind of got like dragged out of it. And after that, like just like playing together, this like wasn't suitable for anybody. And like I remember like our last practice, like we were like practicing like all our songs and everything, and I just like bawled out crying. Was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I don't feel like the same momentum happening. And like after coming out of it all that time, I do like realize like a lot of it is just like the ego fighting yourself. Of like it wants to take control of certain things and wants to force people to do things that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And then also realizing that like I can't always just like rely and depend on people, because that's also just like not right for myself to do. So then like learning how to do the independence, I'm still like learning that now. Like I still haven't done anything like musically since. Something I always think about, I'm like always writing. But like, especially coming here, like realizing and like learning about like this concept of like pure thought and like having it kind of like flow through you. And it was something that I got like I was talking about today with Lindsay, the artist, and like how like having this back then having this idea but not having it be like fully realized, or like not like even like myself being like fully realized. I'm not saying I'm fully realized, but like to not have that kind of like I had the passion at that point, but I didn't have that pure thought, didn't have it like channeled properly. And then through that not having the right idea, I wasn't able to like bring other people along with it. And now like I feel like I have better idea, especially like learning the stuff we learned. I just graduated from TTC, and I felt like throughout that process, like it just shapes the thought process of like
Yes.
how to interact with people, like expectations to set for yourself.
I love
and during all that time, like it taught me to like not let my ego like take over, because then like it just like destroys relationships. And like it could have been like so much more constructive if I came from a place of more like pure love and pure thought, knowing what I need, and then also just like not having that emotional crutch, because for like a long time before that, I love these guys and I still do love these guys. Like I see them all the time, but like we don't play together. And like knowing that I'm losing a little bit. That basically like not to force it to be together.
Better you
to-
than me.
Yeah. But not to use them as crutches.
Got it.
And that was the biggest thing. Not to let my ego get in the way, and also learning like not to use these people that I love as a crutch, because like after that, just like not love anymore. And it's just like your ego trying to take over, keep something alive, and like
I
it
love
needed to
this
die in a way
example.
for me to like learn
Yes.
these things.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that example. Thank you. It's such a great example of, again, most of us say, I want to find my calling, I want to serve, I want to use my gifts. But like you said, the ego can come in, right? And the ego can come in and say, I want to use my gifts just as long as I can do it my way, and I can get everybody else to do it my way, and they can follow my script, and I can have the Instagram moment, and I can look a certain way. And I think that the power that gives us these gifts, the genius that gives us these gifts says, you know, you can use these gifts in the service of humanity, but first you have to be for humanity. First you have to open up for humanity more than just trying to get something. And so it's the same thing for me in my own healing. It's that, you know, I do a technique like I shared last night with you of writing to that loving voice. It's called the Inspired Self-Dialogue. And I write to it all the time. And in the beginning I would say, why can't I be famous? And why can't it work? And why can't whatever? And my higher voice would always say, I have no interest in having you be a beacon to humanity until you're a beacon to humanity. Right? I have no interest in having you be out there until you're worthy of putting something useful out there. And so it sounds like exactly what you just experienced. And it's such a great example. Some of the things we experience in our lives, the disappointment, the pain. Pain is clarity. Pain is clarity. It's not going to punish you. Pain is clarity. It's revealing something. But again, I'm going to encourage you, don't close your heart. Don't assume you know what's going on. If you're going to assume you know what's going on, assume there's something wonderful going on, that there's a path that's evolving. So I do want to share a third principle, unless somebody else is going to cut anybody off. No. Okay, I'll share a third principle. Because I said three principles, and I was like, I better share that third one. I don't remember what the third one is. Okay. So the third principle is choose again. Choose again. And what that means is, let's say you leave this retreat and you say, that's it. I'm going to have a practice of meditation, or I'm going to have a practice of writing, or I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to really commit to this. And let's say you're doing it, you're doing your practice, and then one day you don't do it. It doesn't work, right? You don't do it. Often the mind will start kind of coming in and going, oh, see, you failed, you can't keep up with anything, might as well quit now. Or like people who go on diets, right? I've been this, like, you know, the diet didn't work, or you didn't stay with it, so it's like, well, you should eat 10 muffins then. You know, because you blew it already anyway, so go have 10 muffins, what the heck, you know? The ego will come in and start telling you that. And I'm going to tell you, if you ever get off track, and you will get off track, if you ever get off track, choose again. Choose again. What that means is, don't analyze. Why did that happen? Was it my past life that made me do this? Or was it this that made me do it? Or what that? Go do the yoga. Go do the meditation. Go do the writing. Go do the whatever it is. Begin again. Begin again. Begin again. Always choose again. It's the same thing like in yoga, in the practice of yoga, right? If you're stretching into a pose that's hard for you and is difficult for you, a yoga teacher might say, be kind to yourself, be generous, go into child's pose. If you've gone too far, if you've, go to child's pose. They won't say, go live in child's pose. No, they won't go. So I was really excited about the yoga here because there's so much shavasana between it. And I was like, oh, good, it's done. It's like, oh no, that's just in between. And then we go on, right? It's like nobody said, go live in shavasana, go live in child's pose. It's like, now go to your edge again. Take rest if you need it, but go to your edge again, right? Try again. So I'm going to always encourage you to choose again. I had a teacher years ago. She was a therapist, actually. And when I was on my path, and I would go to her, and I would, bring in my fears and when I was scared, and I would tell her, this is going wrong, and that's going wrong, and I got this extra bill now, and I'm scared because maybe I'm never going to make any money, maybe it's blah, blah, blah. And all she would ever say to me, she would just look at me and she'd go, oh, well. And I'd be like, what? Did you not even hear me? My life is in crisis and this and that. And she'd just go, oh, well. And I would think, okay, I am paying you. I deserve more than oh, well. It's like, but what she was doing was she was saying, oh, well, to the fears because she knew I had a strength that was higher. She didn't want to indulge the weakness. She didn't want to indulge the story. She was going, oh, well. Because she wasn't interested in my stories about why I couldn't do something. She knew the power and strength in me. She knew what I was meant to be. She was holding that vision, and she wanted to hear, what are you going to do about it? Then she'd get very interested. When I talked about, okay, this happened, but here's what I'm going to do, she'd be in rapt attention then. And so there's a concept in the Course in Miracles that says we're meant to have true empathy for people. True empathy. And what that means is, I don't empathize with your weakness. I might have compassion. I might open my heart. I might feel for you. But I don't empathize with your weakness, holding you in that identity. I empathize with your strength. I want your victory. I know where you're going. I know who you are. And as I hold that for somebody else, I'm holding that for me. So every time you choose again, you're choosing again for me, and I'm choosing again for you, because we're all in this life practice together. We're all on this journey, different paths, different ways, different languages, different cultures, different dreams, but I think we're all doing it together. So I want to read you something just to close. And I'm happy to stay, and I know that there's some books people want me to sign. I'm happy to do that. And I'm going to read you, this is from Thriving Through Uncertainty, and it's about practice. This is the magic of practice. It gets better. We become more fluid with each limit we surpass. When I'm in pain or tempted to believe that I'm beaten, I remind myself that no fear can withstand my devotion, patience, and focus. I can always see things in a new way. I will become who I am meant to be. I will become who I am meant to become. I am not defined by the circumstance. I am the storyteller. I am the shapeshifter. I am the beloved. Anything you give me, I will throw into the blender. This process will yield even sweeter freedom. I will not beat myself up for being in pain or stuck. I will practice for as long as it takes to be free. I will thrive. And like the great teacher Paramahansa Yogananda says, persistence guarantees that results are inevitable. How will you practice? How will you devote yourself to thriving? I suggest you commit to believing in yourself and your life unconditionally, and to undertaking the most formidably loving relationship with yourself that you have ever known. The quality of your inner life is your life. Besides, my thriving friend, you have gifts to give us. I'm going to read that one again. Besides, my thriving friend, you have gifts to give our world. A Course in Miracles teaches that who you think you are is a belief to be undone. And what that means is like the weakness that you think you are, the fear that you think you are. Who you think you are is a belief to be undone. You think you can be stopped. You think you can be diminished. You think you can fail, but that's the game. You can never lose. You already have everything you need. You have this crazy alchemical love within you, and it's yours to give in any situation, which changes every situation and even changes you as you give it. You do not walk alone. Will you choose, this to me is the question of your lifetime, will you choose to listen to the disconnected, smallest version of yourself, or the highest allegiance of your spirit? You have a choice. Choose love. Choose again. Choose now. Ding, 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 we have a winner. So I wanted to end with that. Because I just want to encourage you that the practice is what makes this journey. The reason it's significant, the reason that it's a high point to live your gifts is because of who you become as you go along. So I'm so grateful for all of you, and I just want to share a very tiny personal miracle I had while I was here that I just thought I would share. I was walking on the beach earlier, and all along I've been kind of looking secretly for like a shell or a rock or something I could take home and remind me of the experience here, because this is my first time here, and it's been amazing. It's been really, really amazing. The love that's here is just incredible, and I've been so, so, so honored to be here, and it's been amazing. And I found my little shell today, and it was just this tiny, tiny little fragment that's like little pearlized, and then it has a little orange square. And I thought, oh my God, this is like Sivananda. You know, this is like perfect. It's like all the orange, you know, and it's like, and it's pearlized, and it's light, and it's beautiful. And I thought, oh my God, it's this little gift. So I just really, really want to honor the beautiful souls that are here and what you're doing. The love comes through everybody. I'm sure you've experienced that, like all of you who are staff or karma yoga or whatever you're doing. Oh my God, I've just felt so incredibly loved from the second I got here. So I thank you all so, so much, and I hope you continue to give your gifts to the world. Thank you so much.